What's going on, Jeromes? We're back doing a Q&A session. Now, we're going to do this weekly, and we're going to put it out to you, the people, in our community tab, and we're going to pick the 10 best questions. But this week, they all look really good, so we're going to do them all. Right, so we're going to fire up. Here we go. Miles Maz. Could you make a fun, if the Vikings make it to the Super Bowl, I will do this wager for your viewers, just like when you had to buy Packer stock. Yes, and we have to get the world's smallest Packer stock and put it up on the wall. Or it's like when we were, what was it, 10,000 subs? We did the Four Loco. We'll think of something. There shall be a wager. Samuel and Sani, out of any current player, what one player would you want to add to the squad? I mean, Mahomes. Mahomes would be a good one. Any non-quarterback? That would be kind of tough. I mean, Jamar Chase would be a good one. Micah Parsons would be a good one. Xavier Howard would be a good one. Myles Garrett would be a good one. Yeah, I mean, there's awesome out there. YC, Aaron Donald will be up there, except he's up there in age. YC, what would you do if I sang on a tune as Vikings GM with remaining cap money? Is there a difference maker in the free agent market right now? Not particularly. The Vikings will have around $7.5 million in cap space after they sign their draft picks. You do need cap during the season because 18-game season, guys are going to get hurt, and then that is dead cap, and then you have to sign new guys, so that does take cap space as well. So you need to be flexible and have a couple million in cap space to be able to make moves during the season. So I would do that. Tyler Johnston. Scenario, week 11 rolls around and Kirk gets injured. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Vikings currently sit 6-4. Does Mon take them to the playoffs? Yes. 13-4. Wanting some more. Jeff H. The Vikings' career that was cut short by injury that you think most like to have seen played out. Greg Childs is up there. I mean, Greg Childs was a bad dude at Arkansas. As much as we liked Jarius Wright, Greg Childs was a better player at Arkansas. Sharif Floyd would be up there as well. Teddy would be the obvious one too, because in year 3, Teddy had added bulk. And his deep ball was a lot better, but he's going to be Schrodinger's QB. And the fact that he even made it back to the league is just really a testament to him. So those would be the main ones. North on 53 photography. I know Cousins has a very little injury time, but what are the chances Mon gets to play some games this season if Cousins is hurt and Mon is back up? Seems like about 50%. Again. Knocking out all the wood. Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Cousins has been very durable throughout his career, so I'm not even going to dignify that with a percentage. Just hopefully ever stays healthy. Meet Sauce. As fellow Jerome gambler, what bets this season should I run up? Already got a Viking Super Bowl dub, but I'm thinking about betting on every team we play to win the Super Bowl since for at least 5 years we lost the Super Bowl champs in the regular season. I think that might be a little spray and pray. Nah. In terms of futures, like win the Super Bowl, if you can get a good price on the Chargers, because everyone and the mom is going to be hammering the Bills as a sexy team, the Chiefs as well. People will be hammering the Rams to repeat, the Bucks and of course the Packers. I actually do think that the Chargers are gonna do some things. I want to go on a limb and say the Chargers win the AFC West because I think they may have the best defense in the league, and as well as they've improved the offensive line. Herbert's got all the weapons in the world, and he's getting better. I'm a big fan of them and Brandon Staley. The Wolfpack, how often ever do you get recognized in public? About once a week. All right, and it's still something that I'm getting used to, and it is really cool. And I always like to give dap to the Jeromes out in public who recognize me, whether it's So I had an interesting one where I was flying. It was either last week or 2 weeks ago. And the guy in TSA who had to pat me down, little Susie, pat me down. And then he's like, love the show. I was like, that's right, man. Now, in my mind, I was like, did he switch lines so that he could touch me? That would be just amazing, man. But yeah, it is cool. And it's in a lot of random spots. And I was even playing in a poker game, and there's this guy there, Vikings regalia, all that stuff, and we're chatting, being friendly throughout the game, and then all of a sudden he's just like, I recognize your voice. Where do I recognize your voice from? And then it's like recognize the moneymaker. Come on. But it is cool. Yeah, that's about it. Jay Ortiz, how do you feel about the Chris Sims ranking of Kirk Cousins as 16th best quarterback? What does Sims know about quarterback play in the National Football League? I just play. Hey, where does Poppy? Yeah, where does Philly rank Kirk Cousins? Let's get a real quarterback's perspective. Nah, I'm just playing. Chris Sims, respect his opinion, respect his takes a lot, and is what it is. Cameron Dennis, should I go for Justin Jefferson or Dalvin Cook in my fantasy league this year? If it's a redraft, I may go Dalvin, especially if it's PPR, because I feel like it's just so difficult finding bell cow running backs in today's NFL, and especially if it's PPR and Dalvin potentially being used more as a receiver. That's going to be a huge competitive advantage for you every single week, where wide receivers, even though Jefferson's up here and is going to have this type of a Cooper Kupp season, I mean, you can get wide receiver production all over the place, right? Jack Chang, Vikings question. What Vikings jersey style is your favorite? I would say like the old school throwbacks with the gray face mask. I always thought those looked good. Ed Donatel, how about a review of how he used Denver players and compare how he used our defense players? Yes. Who's your choice for biggest surprise player at each level of the defensive side? I'm going to go Armand for Watts. Really steps it up at 5 tech. I think Asamoah breaks into the lineup as a linebacker. I think Caleb Evans, especially with Booth up on blocks for the time being, I think Caleb Evans could make a push to get into the rotation. And then, of course, Cameron Bynum. Yeah, because we know what Lucine's going to do. Does this go on? The offense gets much love from the media. So many stories, but yet hear much about Minnesota's biggest weakness, the defense. Well, I think the defense is going to be like fun, wild, and free, and then just really getting after it. Where I especially think about game dynamics, because it doesn't happen in a vacuum. Where the Vikings, as opposed to playing a one-score game, up or down a score, both the Vikings are up 14 in the second half, and guess what? That defense gets to pin their ears back and just unleash hell. Russell Crowe style. Derek Baker. The Vikings now have a young, creative, offense-minded head coach and new playbook for Kirk Cousins as weapons. So who will score the most touchdowns for the Vikings this year? Why did you choose that player? Just overall touchdowns? Kirk Cousins. But, taking passing touchdowns out, I will say Dalvin, just because he's the running back as well as a potential receiver. Yeah, but I think Jefferson... actually, could say Thielen. I think Jefferson could compete for the Triple Crown, lead the league in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. But I think Thielen's going to get a lot of red zone work as well. Mr. King Baron. So if Kirk Cousins does well this season, will he be around to see the future of the team, or is he just going to test out free agency after the season? Well, he's got a 1-year extension, so he'll be here at least next season. Greekos Darkness. Yeah. With the Vikings' new regime, what should the Vikings fans be excited for with a rookie head coach and mostly young defense? Fresh ideas. And you see this at OTAs, where it isn't the grind as it was in previous years. Fresh ideas and enthusiasm for the future. The Vikings already had all the offensive talent, and defensive-wise, they have a lot of pieces. It just wasn't put together over the last 2 years. That's why you should be excited. Stephen J. If the NFL added a team and had an expansion draft, would you or would you not protect Kirk Cousins? Yes, I would protect Kirk Cousins. Or the Vikings haven't done a good job protecting Kirk Cousins the last couple years. But I'll protect Kirk, because quarterbacks are hard to find, man. And even though I do believe in Kellen Mond, if you want to win meow, 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 Kirk Cousins is a top 10, top 12-ish quarterback, and those are hard to find. And Cousins, even with the expansion team, would get snapped up like that if he was unprotected. Patrick's Music. What's your favorite? Uh-oh. Where'd it go? We got a picture of Jonathan Bullard out there. Jonathan Bullard, what up? What up? All right. Patrick's Music. What's your favorite part of the new GM coaching regime? I just think the overall vibe, the overall culture that they're bringing in, where it does seem like KOC is a player's coach. I think that there's two-way communication. Like Kevin O'Connell could come in and is like, this is my scheme, men, and this is what we're going to run. Blah, 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 blah. Also, all the talk, especially from defensive players, that Kevin O'Connell is involved. Like KOC needs to be the head coach of the entire team as opposed to just the coordinator with challenge flag. Tyler Johnson. How likely is it for someone not named KJ Osborne to end up as a wide receiver 3 this year? Will the Vikings regret cutting AJ Rose aside Burt Wilson? I think BC could work his way in. I think KJ and BC could be your wide receiver 3-4 tandem. And AJ Rose, I mean, I like AJ Rose, but Bryant Koback is a better version of AJ Rose, frankly. And signing Burt Wilson, I think that was a great veteran signing at this stage. A guy who can come in and be your wide receiver 5-6. Go ahead, especially with ISM up on blocks for now. King of the North. For the last 3 years in a row, Kirk Cousins is the only quarterback to consistently beat Aaron Rodgers. Is Kirk Cousins actually way better than the narrative? I believe so, yes. Yeah. Where the thing that happened was the national media jabroni haircuts. They drone on and on and on. Kirk Cousins does this. Oh, he's bad. Oh, we can't win in prime time. Oh, he's good to two shoes. And then fans, especially average fans, like we see that on the ESPN. Well, if it's on the ESPN, it must be true. Kirk Cousins must be trash. Kirk Cousins' ass. Thank you. As opposed to actually watching him, actually taking into account his circumstances of his gong show of OCs, of the fact that his offensive line has been atrocious, especially on the interior the last 4 years. Whatever. Charlie Joy. Whatever. Once people are dug in on a narrative, it's really hard to get them out of that trench. Charlie Joy, can you explain Laquan Treadwell? I've only just gotten the Vikings, always been a fan, but what went wrong and why did we draft him? Well, drafted him in 2016 in the first round because Teddy needed a tall receiver, right? And Kirk, even though Treadwell was seen as this big body go up and get a type guy, even though that really wasn't his game. He was only 6'2", but even though he had that horrific ankle and tibia injury, Ole Miss, I think it was against Auburn, right? But he came back, had a 1,000-yard season in the Big Bad SEC, and Treadwell was basically a diet version of A.J. Brown, and it's ironic because they both went to Ole Miss and were number one, but he just didn't get it together, right? And Treadwell was, this 5-star Gatorade National Player of the Year, was, one of the biggest recruits in the nation coming out of high school, and then was the big man on campus at Ole Miss in the SEC. And I think what happened is he got here with the Vikings, and he was getting his ass kicked by Cordero Patterson and Adam Thielen and Jarius Wright, and he had never been used to that before. And Treadwell still had the physical tools, but I think he just got in his own head, just like, hey, well, I'm not getting opportunities, and if I get an opportunity, I can't screw this up. I screwed it up, that whole thing. So it just turned into a negative spiral. So, I mean, Treadwell had talent, and you've seen that he's contributing where he's been bouncing around the league as this journeyman, but just obviously didn't work out here with the Vikings. Chris Phillips, is there still a chance we bring in J.C. Treader? I mean, it's possible. It's possible. Like I think Treader is just waiting out OTAs and mini camp and maybe even part of training camp just because he's a veteran and wants to save a couple snaps. I mean, if things don't work out with Bradbury, is it possible that J.C. Treader is just that guy? Yes. Eric Anderson. Are finally going to see throwback uniforms and helmets this year? I think it's possible. I know that they repealed that stupid rule of, hey, you can't have different helmets. It's such a stupid and random rule. But yeah, I mean, it's possible. Even though the Vikings throwback uniforms are just slightly different than the uniforms now. They just changed the font and the stripes. Joseph Young. Do you think the new regime will value their own draft picks over guys like Chad Surratt and Davis that were picked high by Spielman? I think that the best player will win the job. I think that's the vibe that we're getting right now. Whether it's guys that were drafted by Spielman, guys that were drafted by Kwesi, whoever's the best player on the team is going to get the biscuit. And that's what I really like. Ty's fun time. How bad is Barr going to be missed in terms of what he brings to the field? Not what he brings on the field, probably not a ton, because Anthony Barr's play had been in decline, even though his intangibles are really where Barr's value was. He was the leader, captain, wore the green dot, all that stuff. But I think that Jordan Hicks can replace a lot of that. Also, I think Brian Asamoah is just going to be a better physical version. So it is going to take a couple of guys to replace what Barr did, but overall, I think it'd be positive. Mason M. If you could sign anyone left, who would it be, and who could the Vikings trade for? Well, I guess it'd be J.C. Treader. And who could the Vikings trade for? I don't know, Myles Garrett one time. Stephen J. How many yards receiving does early Vikings for Randy Moss have in this new offensive KOC? All of them. All of them. Like it would be like Megatron who? Like Randay 2K. Nobody special. Vikings question. Are we ever going to go to a Super Bowl and actually win one since we didn't in 70, 74, 75, and 77? Yes. That is all. All-Star Elite. Who do you think will be the best rookie on the Vikings this year? For the Vikings this year? I am going to say, well, Lewis Cine is the obvious answer, but outside of him, I think Brian Asamoah has a chance to just steal hearts, man. I think that he'll come in and be a fantastic special teams dynamo right away. I think eventually he'll take Jordan Hicks' starting job. Yeah, so I'm going to say Asamoah, man. Zach Hazley. I know we like to hang on Packers on this channel, say they're going to suck, but do the Vikings actually have a chance to take the division this year? Yes, 1,000%. Austin, why is Tommy Kramer not talked about a lot in Vikings history? Guy was clutch in the final 2 minutes. I feel like Tommy Kramer is talked about enough. Like, Tommy Kramer was a stud, man. 494 Tommy. Minnesota Miracle. Or Miracle at the Met. Or whatever it's called. Whatever the deep bomb he had against the Browns to Ahmad Shah. It's weird that the Vikings and the Browns were in the same division once. Also, Tommy Kramer's a good time. I've had a couple beers with Tommy Kramer before, and he gets after it, man. Also, he still has a Packard's urinal. Max Karpenko. Is Justin Jefferson going to break Randy Moss's record? All of them, yes. Doesn't even matter which one. Just, yes, all of them. Harry Van Nest. Vikings question. What does Tony Dungy think about new coaching staff? I don't know. He probably likes them, or indifferent, or whatever. Joshua and Durla. If the Vikings end this year just over or under 8-8, is that cause for concern? Whose fault would it be? Blah, blah, blah. Well, Machiavellian, even though the Machiavellian way would have been just to wipe out everyone, right? But I actually think that Kwesi did a smart thing here where he's hedging his bets to a degree, where he kept Thielen and Harrison and kept a lot of these holdover veterans from the previous regime. And if it doesn't work, Kwesi can be like, hey, I haven't got my guys in yet, so we need to wash things out. We need to start anew with the players and go from there. So it's an interesting hedging of bets where you've seen GMs do this before, where if they inherit an older coach or a coach from the previous regime, they'll let that coach hang out for a year. It's like, if it doesn't work, I guess we got fired, everyone now. Like George Payton did that last year with Vic Fangio, where Fangio was an Elway hire and Payton came in. It certainly would have been Payton's prerogative to fire everyone and then bring in his own head coach. But then it's like, we'll try it out with Vic a year. It didn't work. It ain't my fault. Did I do that? No. It's like the GM gets an extra scholarship year, and then he brought in his own guy, Nathaniel Hackett, and then he traded for Russell Wilson, right? So I think that Kwesi definitely has that ace up his sleeve. Samuel Paradis. Hey, are you related to Matt Paradise? Tell him to come to the Vikings. Which player is going to break out next season? Well, I was going to say ISM, but yeah. See, breakout this year. I think Ezra will really solidify himself. I think Janarius Robinson as a rotational edge rusher could really get after it too. I think Cameron Bynum is going to really prove his worth too. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys out there. Jim Schleichen, where do Packers fans come from? The gates of hell. Follow-up question, why Packers fans? It's a good question. Also, why do they give you 14 inches of bench space to sit when they sell 24 rounds? So is this basically just Packers fans are dumb and fat? All right, yeah. Big Papa Bert. Lions playoff run in the next 2 seasons. I think it's possible. I do like what Campbell and Holmes have done with the Lions. I think that the Lions are on the right track. I think the Bears are on the wrong track. So, yeah, the Lions are going to be a problem in the next couple of years if they can find a quarterback. Robert Baudet, do you believe we have enough depth at offensively skilled positions, or do you think that was a mistake not to take an offensive weapon skill player day 1, day 3 of the draft? I think wide receiver-wise, even with the ISM injury, yes. I think the Vikings have one of the best wide receiver cores in the league. I think the Vikings obviously have the deepest running back room in the NFL. Tight end-wise, I mean, beyond Irv, you have a lot of question marks, but also you're not going to be running a lot of multiple tight end sets anyway. So I think that they're good to go in terms of skill position. Matthew Hurl, if you were the Vikings majority owner, what would you change to help push this team over the top and win a Super Bowl? I don't know. Go back in time and trade up for Justin Herbert. I don't know. Other than that, I think the Vikings are in a good track. I don't think there's anything else realistically that they could do that would push them over the top. Zach Ballas, Lewis and Antoine Winfield Jr. on the board at 32. Who are you taking? I'll give the slight edge to Scene just because of the physical attributes. He's a little bit larger. He's a little bit faster. Winfield is just a dog, man. Winfield is just a guy who gets by on toughness, on tenacity, and that's not a bad thing at all. That's not a slight. He just is a tough-ass player, just like his pops. But Lewis Scene, attitude, he's dialed in. He loves the game, and is a physical freak in nature. I mean, he has a chance to be really special. And both of them are obviously special, but we're splitting hairs here. Davin Patterson. Who is your favorite DN that can move to outside linebacker in the 3-4 and dominate? And why is it Willikis? Janarius Robinson. I think Janarius Robinson is going to be a problem for offenses. Phoebe, will Kyle Sluter make this team? Yes. He'd be on the practice squad. He would beat out Sean Mannion. He would beat out Nate Stanley if this is an open competition. Michael Miller, where do you think we'll rank offensively and defensively this year? Skull. Top 5 offense, top 15 defense. Sean Johnson, how many sacks do you think we'll get against the Bears, and why do you think we'll get Justin? And who do you think will get Justin Fields the most? I think they'll have 13 total sacks in the 2 games, and I think Daniil will have 4 of them. Jackson Robinette, who are your 3 favorite Vikings players if you had to choose? All time? All right, so we'll do all time and currently on the team. All time, Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Antoine Winfield. And that third spot rotates. Sometimes it's Jared Allen. Sometimes it's it sort of goes back and forth. Top 3 favorite players right now: Jefferson. I'd say Jefferson, Daniil, and Brian O'Neill. There you go. Devin Martz. Top 3 surprise cuts. All right, so surprise cuts. I'm going back to the Rolodex of our hot takes. All right, so guys who don't make the 53 but potentially could be on the practice squad. I will say, actually, I don't even think I have any hot takes. Let's actually look back. Zoom in and enhance. Sorry, we're looking at a spreadsheet off screen because that's what we do. That is what we do. Actually, we'll bring this on screen. The heck, man. I'm still getting used to this Windows 11, or whatever the hell it is. All right, so there we go. Surprise cuts. Still have AJ Rose listed on there. Whoops. Let's see. I don't have Burt Wilson on. Whatever. We'll fix this later. I don't really have any hot take cut candidates. I don't know, maybe Wyatt Davis. Wyatt Davis, if he doesn't step up, and then guys like Ed Ingram and Jesse Davis are still there. Kyle Hinton steps up too. Maybe. I don't know, maybe Patrick Jones second, previous regime's draft pick, especially if some of the other guys step up. Kenny Willikis is on IR now. Let's see what else here. I guess Harrison Hand could be a little bit of a hot take. Sure. Oh, Greg Joseph. All right, that'll be the hot one. Gabe Burkich just gets it done, man. Next up. Who on defense would be a candidate for punt returner? Chris Boyd. Harrison Hand. Put him back there, sure. Or hell. Brian Asamoah. Why the hell not, man? Who says that linebackers can't return punts? Braden, who is starting kicker and punter week 1? I will go Jordan Berry punting and Gabe Burkich, your starting kicker. Daniel Ullman, who will surprise that make the 53 man? I'm saying Hinton because I want to will it to happen. I think Hinton could have a shot. I will also say the the linebacker William Kwenku, who came in as a UDFA tryout. I think that he potentially could make the roster as a linebacker 5 special teamer. Or hell, maybe surprise cut Troy Dye or Chaz Surratt. Possible, man. It's possible. All right, so that's it. It's zooming through the Q&A. Thanks for coming along. Let us know your thoughts on our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work, put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skull Production Value.